Welcome into Teal The Show. The Jaguars are getting ready for a big game against the Houston Texans as they come off that bye week. We've got Frank Frangie hanging out with us tonight. Frank, this is a big game for the Jaguars in more ways than one, but the best news maybe of the week for a lot of folks, Trevor Lawrence is going to be out there on the field with the team on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that was the hope, even when he was down for a week or two, that maybe if you keep him down for a couple weeks, if it played out that way, have the bye week and then get Trevor back. Look, I applaud Trevor. I told you this before. It would be easy now. You're 2-9. You might need surgery on the thing. You know it's going to be sore to just bail, and that's not who he is. He wants to be out there with his teammates, and that's good news for everybody. I can't wait to see 16 back on the field.
And, you know, getting Trevor back is always a lift for the team. We talked to Doug Peterson a little bit earlier today. Doug said that he thinks Trevor won't have any limitations, and just getting him back out there on the field with the guys should provide a boost.
Yeah, I think anytime you get your starting quarterback back out there, you know, I mean, that gives you a little energy and all of that. So it's a positive, yes.
You know, with Trevor's sideline, points had been hard to come by. It would be nice to see Trevor go back out there and play and toss a couple of touchdown passes on Sunday.
And one of the things Doug spoke to is true, Jamal. When your quarterback's out there, everybody's elevated. When your leader's out there, everybody's elevated. And that's no knock on Mac Jones. Mac went in there and did the best he could. That's what backup quarterbacks do, the best they can. But when your starter's back out there, there is an energy. In addition to the fact that there's better play, you would think when your starter's out there, there's better play. That's how it's supposed to be. But there's an energy when your starter's out there. There's also an energy when an injured player comes back. And you know he fought to get back. So, no, that'll affect the team positively. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Now, this is a big game against the Houston Texans, Frank. The Jaguars really could use a win. While the Texans have kind of been struggling, so have the Jaguars. If the Jaguars get a win, they kind of keep their hopes in front of them. That's one of the things that they wanted to talk about coming off the bye week, is that technically they're not completely out of it. They just have to get it rolling. Frank, we've talked about it here on Teal The Show. You can't kind of count those wins before you get there, but if you get one, you start to feel like, maybe something could start building, but you got to take it 1 week at a time.
Doug told those guys this week, Jamal, let's treat every game like a playoff game. Let's treat this one like a playoff game. If you win it, then let's treat the next one like these are elimination games. And that's how they're going to treat it. And look, they're 2-9. They're the longest of long shots. But to your point, the Texans are leaking a little bit of oil here. They've lost 3 out of 4 and 4 out of 6. That's not the way they began the season. Their offensive line's been just okay. They've had injuries like everybody has. So, yeah, and you get them at home. And so if you had a chance to beat the Texans, they're the first-place team. If you win the game, you gain a little bit of energy. Again, you're still 3-9. Okay, it's a long way back with 5 to play, but win the next one and see what happens. You know, again, you're not eliminated till you're eliminated. That much you do know. Play everything, treat everything like a playoff game, and I'm telling you, that's what Doug told the guys this week. Treat this like an elimination game. Let's play it like it's a playoff game and see what happens.
Hey, just go out there. They got nothing to lose, and that makes them very dangerous. We'll see what happens out there on the field on Sunday. We'll talk a little bit more about the matchup, plus some things you'll see out on the field that might look a little different coming up next when Teal The Show returns. All right, welcome back here into Teal The Show. So this week is My Cause, My Cleats week around the NFL. And that means when you watch those games on Sunday, you're going to see some kind of specially decorated cleats for a lot of players. That includes the Jaguars players. And these cleats, a lot of them are very close to a lot of the players' hearts for one reason or another. It's an opportunity for them to represent a foundation, a nonprofit, something on their cleats that means something to them. And then a lot of them auction them off to raise money for those foundations and nonprofits after the game. Jaguars defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen is going to be wearing some special shoes that definitely have a story that is close to his heart and close to his family.
My wife, you know, it's her battle. She had her last chemo last Wednesday, and so you know, now it's on to the radiation and the next part of the treatment and everything. So strongest person I know. She's doing good. And it's a huge thing in our family and our lives. And I tell you, one of the things, just learning about the disease and what she has and everything is, you know, the big thing to take away from is get checked. You know, like she had this for a little while and she didn't get checked soon enough. And so everybody we talk to is get checked, go see the doctor, do your mammograms, and get that taken care of, because it could save your life. Like, it's that important. So, but yes, no, she's doing good. It's you know, something you go through that you never think you'd have to, but tell you, she's unbelievably strong, and extremely proud of her and what she's done. And our family has been, it's tough, but we're doing good, and it's awesome, and she's doing good, and she got her port out today, so she's all fired up and on to radiation. So, but yeah, all good.
Yeah, you can understand why having those shoes on the sideline, an opportunity to represent his wife, is going to mean a lot for Coach Nielsen. I didn't know that story before he decided to share it with us this week. Frank, these shoes mean a lot. I got a chance to talk with a lot of the Jaguars players. Antonio Johnson, another one whose shoes have a very special meaning to him that he's going to have a chance to carry with him out there on the field.
Jamal, you're right. And I didn't know Ryan's story either before this week, so you certainly know what Ryan and his family are going through, and certainly respect that, and prayers for him. But I will tell you this, too. Since they started the My Cause, My Cleats, I've really been taken by how seriously the players take this, how important it is to them, whether they have someone very close to them going through something like Ryan does, or just someone they haven't known as well. They all find a cause that really matters to them. This isn't perfunctory, man. This isn't going through the motions and having these cool-looking cleats. This matters to these guys. And I've noticed that since they started that cause a few years back. And I think it's a really cool thing. Remember, these are real guys, man. They're real players with real lives. They're not just robots out there playing football. And this is one of the initiatives over the course of the season where you can really see that, where you see how they connect with people and connect with causes that matter to them. It's a good thing they do. It really is. All
right, let's jump back to the matchup here, Frank. What do the Jaguars have to do if they're going to pull off the upset against the Texans this week?
Well, number one, you got to run the football some. I think, and I know that's a cliche, but here's the good thing. Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne are together as healthy as they've been, I think, since the beginning of the season. It's been a long time, Jamal, since they've both been this healthy together, and I think they are now. So you got to run the football some. That keeps those two good ends, Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson, from affecting the game. Even though the Jags lost the game in Houston, those two guys barely affected the game at all. So I don't think they'll affect the game if you can run the football. And speaking of run the football, you got to slow down Joe Mixon. He's had a good year. C.J. Stroud has struggled of late. He has not been himself. People have gotten him off his spot. But you do that by stopping the run. So running and stopping the run is a big part of it. And, yes, you got to harass C.J. Stroud. Even though he's not as good this year as he was last year, a little bit of a sophomore slump, if he can sit in that pocket, and he's good at moving around in that pocket, if he finds time, he's awfully tough with those really good receivers. Even with Stephon Diggs out, they've got a bunch of good receivers. So run, stop the run, and get C.J. off his spot, I think, is really critical.
Definitely a big thing there. So now this is the second time that the Jaguars and Texans will have met this season. Texans obviously won the first matchup, but it wasn't by a wide margin. It was one of those games that the Jaguars were in late and just couldn't kind of find a way to make that late play. It feels like that has been the calling card of this team, Frank. They're in the game in the fourth quarter most of the way, and then somehow, some way, the other team just seems to kind of get the edge. Is there something that they can take from that first matchup with the Texans and maybe apply it besides just finish?
Well, that's the big thing. I thought they outplayed the Texans. It was like both the Dolphins game and the Texans game in the first quarter of the season. I thought they outplayed both teams on the road and couldn't finish the job and lost at the end of the game. So I thought they outplayed them. Look, they split with them last year. These two teams have won the division the last 2 years, and the Jags barely almost won it again last year. So they know each other, Jamal. They know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses. They've played C.J. Stroud enough that they know him. The Texans have played Trevor enough that they know him. These are two teams that know each other. They know what they have to do to beat each other. But because you've beaten them and split with them, you're confident. I think the Jags, despite being 2-9, will be a confident football team when they play the Texans on Sunday. I think it's, again, the Texans have lost some games of late here. The Jags have been struggling as well. Who comes out and makes one more play? This is going to be a close game. How many times have we said this? It's going to be one of those fourth quarter games, and it turns into a fourth quarter game. This will be no difference. Look for this thing to be decided in the fourth quarter on Sunday afternoon.
All right, decided in the fourth quarter, Frank. Who comes away with the higher score at the end of it? What do you think?
Yeah, and I told you this before. Right now, the Jags are 2-9. Yeah. The Jags are last in the league in total defense. They're 30th in total offense. It's hard for me to pick them against a first-place team. But I think it was so I can't pick the Jags to beat the Texans here. But I'd be very surprised if it's not really close down the stretch. One team makes one more play. I'm afraid it could be the Texans. But again, I'll say it again. This is going to be a good one. You're not going to want to miss this one. This will be a good game that'll come down to the fourth quarter. I really believe that.
All right, we'll see what happens. Maybe the Jaguars can surprise everybody and pull off the upset. Maybe Trevor Lawrence is just the lift the team needs, getting him back out there on the field. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Frank, thanks for being here. Thank you at home for tuning in. Good night, everybody, and go Jags.